and I don't care about your midterms, okay? I don't care about your next year midterms and whether or not the Republican Party is united. I am not to blame for the lame excuses that the feds have given us regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. He's trying out for a Zionist to pay him, and they will, okay? They will cut him a check, and I hope it happens for you, Tim. I hope it makes you happy.
Candace Owens just blasted Tim Pool for complaining that she is a scumbag, literally saying that, calling her that, for dividing the American right by investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk and daring to say I don't believe every aspect of that FBI narrative that Kash Patel is trying to sell us all on. So in this clip, she gets into why he's totally wrong about this, why she is not the one that's divided the American right, and why she doesn't care about Republican midterm elections. So let's watch. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Now, on that note, I am obviously taking a lot of personal risk to get out the truth to you guys pertaining to what is happening to Charlie Kirk. One of the easiest things in the world is to be a critic of Candace Owens and a part of the people who do not have the courage to prod this federal narrative. Among those, of course, being Tim Pool, who has now dedicated hours and now is trying to signal to the public that I don't have security, which is untrue, but he is trying to get me harmed. I don't know what I've ever done to Tim Pool to deserve that at all, but Tim Pool has had some very choice words for me, which were trending last night on X. And I would like to share that to you because he thinks it's an act of bravery to attack me in this moment. So take a listen to Tim Pool.
Candace Owens is a f***ing evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these conservatives out there that send me these messages have no balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't DM me like I did something for you as you cower, as you power, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right now.
Yeah, that was the...
I'm done with these people.
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two no one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy, and she doesn't give a about her security. Meanwhile, I get bullets fired at my property, and I have to go live in the middle of nowhere. And I got strangers coming up to my house in Maryland, breaking in. I got people showing up and beating up the residents who try to live there. How the am I even supposed to sell this property?
I mean, there's so many absurdities in that statement, but I'll just start with this. It's not Candace Owens that's dividing the American right and jeopardizing your precious midterms for the Republicans, Tim. It's Donald Trump, and it was Donald Trump the second he said, "Why is everybody still talking about Epstein? It's a Democratic hoax." That's when it started. And not just that, it's when we're going to bomb Iran, double down on Israel's atrocities, and defend this genocidal regime no matter what. All the while Americans are suffering at home, paying ludicrous prices. That's what's dividing the American right. It's not people who dare to question the FBI narrative, which you questioned a lot when Biden was in office. It's just so crazy how when, you're so rigidly tied to one of the politicians that's vying for the presidency and then your guy gets in, suddenly your mentality shifts to, we have to just trust the deep state on everything. The FBI Charlie Kirk narrative. Well, I'm sorry. Regular Americans see this for what it is, and we hate the FBI no matter who's in power. And I'm sorry, she's not a scumbag for rejecting that stupid narrative that the FBI always has to be trusted. That's the truth.
So there's a lot to unpack there. First and foremost, what you are seeing right there is on a display of testosterone. Men that speak to women like this are not tough guys, okay? What you are seeing is actually a display of estrogen. Everything he is doing there is somebody who is not a man, he is not tough, and he would never dare to speak to a man like that, right? People that find that very easy. Secondly, Tim Pool doesn't even have the intellect to understand that we put him in the thumbnail because he accused me in a full episode with Milo Yiannopoulos, which we showed and contextualized, of being someone who benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Yeah, that's exactly right, but he's not relying on people to go and watch that whole clip. He's just hoping that they buy into his big, deranged epithet there against Candace Owens. He did strike at her, call her the perpetrator of dividing the right, as if that's something she's doing and not this corrupt presidential administration. That is what's going on here. It's not Candace Owens that was the aggressor in that way.
So he thinks he's being accused. No, you accused me of that in like a actually, I think it was 2-hour episode with Milo Yiannopoulos, in which Milo defended me and explained that I am not to blame for the lame excuses that the feds have given us regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And that if we do need to have some spiritual searching in terms of what the Republican Party has become, that the time for that is now. Okay. So this little, and I really like, he's a small person for this, a very small person who is also theatrical, Timothy Smollett, who pretends every year like people are trying to kill him. He's a chronic fence sitter, okay? Pretending like he is braving the wilderness for being the 110th person who's making a video about Candace Owens.
Yeah, that's the safest thing you can do in this environment when all the Zionists, all the corporate media hacks are also against Candace Owens and you're siding with her. And I've noticed that Tim Pool never launches into these scathing rebukes of people that are literal neocons, like Lindsey Graham, the guy that Trump is campaigning for right now, like Ben Shapiro, who clearly prioritizes Israel above the United States, despite the fact that your guy is the president that got into office under America First as the slogan. You never criticize those guys for prioritizing Israel over the interests of the U.S., launching wars in our name that are backward and against countries that don't pose a threat to the United States. How about you launch into a scathing rebuke of people supporting Venezuela regime change or Iranian regime change, or doubling down on Israel's atrocities and patting Netanyahu on the back and trying to get him out of fraud and corruption charges? How about that, Tim?
In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, he thinks he's pioneering that? Are you out of your mind? It's only the safest thing you can do. What's next? Is he going to make a video and call Kanye West anti-Semitic? Like that's what he's pioneering right now. Oh my gosh, so original. Like, is he going to call Donald Trump evil in 2016? This is the storm that he's braving, is jumping on the side of what everyone else is doing. He is a fundamentally weak man for what he did there. He should apologize. He won't. I don't care what happens to his platform. He's now essentially trying out, because he's under financial pressure. He's trying out for a Zionist to pay him, and they will. Okay, they will cut him a check. And I hope it happens for you, Tim. I hope it makes you happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely analyzing this the wrong way to think that Candace Owens is the root of this schism on the right that is going to threaten your midterms. No, it's the fraudulent and catastrophic promises that were broken by your president, the guy that rode into the White House promising transparency on Epstein, an end to the war in Ukraine day one, to actually entertain the prospect of a government agency that would slash $2 trillion from the federal budget. I mean, it's just a meme at this point, all while saying America first and then having the real president, it seems like Netanyahu, to the White House 4 or 5 times at this point. Oh yeah, and the Al-Qaeda leader of Syria welcomed with open arms. You're not going to criticize that, but Candace Owens is arch villain of America. It's just all so absurd. It's just showing how warped this mindset is, where you're going to blame her for the wrongdoing of people in government and back the Fed narrative, I guess, because she has dared to question it, at least to the most basic level, and not even doing anything that hurts American citizens. What this gives people information you don't want them to see, Tim, that's what she's doing. I guess that's what she's guilty of. Guilty as charged, right?
But to do that to someone who has never done anything to you other than disagree with you about the Charlie Kirk narrative, I have not focused my content on you, and anytime your name has come up, it has been because you have explicitly been attacking me. You are a coward. You are less than a man. Okay? You are behaving, your type right there is like a person who's having financial issues and yet decides to go out and put 100K on a poker game. And when he loses and is a further 100K in the hole, comes back home and beats his wife and kids and thinks he's a tough guy. That's how you're acting right now. I'm not your wife. I'm not your kids. Get your affairs in order and stop blaming me, because I'm actually traversing down the path that hasn't been traveled by standing up and saying that something corrupt happened and Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I don't care about your midterms, okay? I don't care about your next year midterms and whether or not the Republican Party is united, okay? Because I don't want to stand next to people that would cover up Charlie Kirk's assassination. I hope that I have made my point perfectly clear.
Wow, she has to me, and I'm assuming my audience, and that's one of the reasons people respect her more than just about every content creator and influencer out there. It's because Candace Owens, her mind isn't locked into this tribalistic mentality where it's my guy versus the Democrat guy or the Democrat guy versus the Republican guy on Washington. She just stands on principle and searching for the truth among a sea of inconsistencies and lies given to us by the FBI. And I'm not even saying that everything she's brought up is indicative of something pertaining to Charlie Kirk's assassination, but that's fine. That's what an investigation is called. She has the right to do it. She's not evil for doing it, quite to the contrary, especially when the feds have fed us so many lies over time, especially the FBI. Of all institutions, we're going to trust the FBI down to the line on this, and if you diverge from that allowable, acceptable spectrum of opinion regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination, somehow you're the villain? It just doesn't even make sense. No, not after Jan 6 entrapment, not after Whitmer entrapment, not after Ruby Ridge, not after the Philadelphia bombing, not after Waco, not after COINTELPRO and wiretapping Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, not after murdering Fred Hampton, not after burning women and children alive at Waco. We're not going to accept it anymore. These schemes cannot be just swallowed by Americans anymore from a deep state institution that you complained about when they tried to frame the sitting president for treason, saying that he was acting out the interest of Russia in his first term, even as he supplied Ukraine with weapons, shredded the INF treaty, slapped new sanctions on Russia, etc. It was a scheme to take him out, and you rightly criticized the FBI then. What about under Kash Patel? It doesn't seem like there's that much criticism from Tim Pool's podcast to the FBI now, does there? Why? It's the tribalistic mentality. Your guy is in office. Well, I say abolish the FBI no matter who ostensibly controls it, because the real problem is that the deep state controls too much. Regardless of the sitting president, it needs to be dismantled. There's no reforming it. Kash Patel isn't going to steer it in a better direction or eliminate the Hoover Building, as he famously boasted, and set up a deep state museum in its place. I think we're going to be waiting a long time. I think it's going to be that skeleton meme back like this, waiting for that museum to the deep state that we're aching to have under Kash Patel, and hearing his promises on that. Look, Candace Owens is so much better than her worst adversaries in terms of her moral quality and her integrity. She just is, and this is why no matter how many disagreements I have with some of the angles that she's brought up, it's just clear that wholesale the FBI narrative is wrong. And to dive into that, to disrupt that precious narrative that you seem to be so enraged over rupturing, Tim, it seems like that doesn't exactly affect us on the same level as, say, wars or supporting Israel at all costs or doubling down on debt spending in a time when we're $38 trillion in debt does. That seems a lot more dangerous, right? And there's a reason that he's developed a reputation as being Beanie Shapiro, because, again, he doesn't have these kind of epithets against the neocons. He certainly doesn't, not to this level. I've never seen it, at least. And Tim Pool invited me to his show last year in June. I thanked him for it. I'm glad he had me. I'm glad he had people that disagreed with him. He's had, Dave Smith and Scott Horton and some of my other friends on his show, too, that disagree with him on a lot. Thankfully, I guess he had Milo Yiannopoulos to... and you're relying on Milo at this point to tell the truth about this, But Tim Pool is not going to be courageous enough to call out what this is, and it really is a mass pressure campaign from the Zionists and Conservative Inc. on Candace Owens for not backing their boys' narrative at the FBI. That's exactly what this is. So that's what we're seeing here. Candace Owens, thanks for that amazing soliloquy. We have to admire, I guess, her will and her relentless nature and her fearless nature. It's actually what I admire most, and that's something that I hope that I can embrace sometime, that kind of fearless mentality when it seems like everyone in the political establishment is gunning her down. And Tim Pool, ironically, is on the same side as Nick Fuentes on this in terms of hating her, generally backing the FBI narrative, and saying that she is supervillain number one for going down this path. Well, when you have Nick Fuentes and Tim Pool against you for the same reasons, this thing seems like you might be doing something right. But that's all I got to say. Let me know what you think. Is Candace Owens right about this? Is Tim Pool just embracing some kind of financial profit from launching into this? Do you think it's a genuinely held opinion on his behalf? Let me know in the comments down below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to Tucker, or not Tucker. You can subscribe to Tucker too, but also Candace Owens. Really like the segment, enjoyed her take on this, certainly agree with her on that. And if you like this video, please consider becoming a YouTube member. You can do that by clicking the join button down below. And if you do that, you can get access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on my channel. So you'll be able to watch all those members only videos immediately if you do that. And I appreciate your support if you do. And also, if you want a free copy of my first book, Compact of the Republic, click the link in the description below. It'll shoot you out to a website. You just plug in your email. I'll send you a copy of that book in PDF form, free of charge, just because I appreciate you watching. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.